Hey, it's Paul. Welcome back to YNR Update. We thought there was going to be a big episode coming, and today was that day. This was a blockbuster. The first thing we see is Sharon, and she tells Dylan that she's at her wit's end. She does not have a lawyer. The one that was provided for her by the county was awful, so she is stuck right now. We also see Avery, and we know that, yeah, she's getting together with Joe closer and closer because she spent the night in his room. He still has no feeling in his legs when he wakes up, but you can tell he's anxious to walk, almost like this isn't happening to him. They get closer and closer, and Dylan sees this, and of course it drives him nuts. He asks Avery to defend Sharon, but he knows that her priorities are with Joe, and she tells him no, that she can't. I think there's part of her that she says later, she doesn't even know if she thinks Sharon is guilty or innocent. Then we see Joe try to get out of bed while Dylan's talking to Avery out in the hall, and they come running in, and of course Joe's on the floor because he wants to walk, and he falls to the ground. But he's all right. I mean, he's still can't walk, but he's okay. Eventually we see Lauren, and she's planning a getaway with Michael. And Michael looks like every now and then he's got an up day, he's got a bad day. I guess it goes with the disease because this one's a bad day, and he turns her down flat. But Kane shows up in the nick of time and says he can handle everything for Lauren, and eventually Michael agrees. But you can tell that his heart is not in it, and he is pushing her farther away. We can tell that because Lauren tells Kane that he is, and we can see it too. And then we get to the big fight. Of course, Stitch breaks up the fight between Gabe and Billy, and things get crazy because during the fight, the urn with Kelly's supposed ashes gets kicked, and Stitch flips out on everyone, says you didn't care about her now, you don't care about her in death. And obviously everyone's sorry. No one ever means to kick an urn during a fight, do they? And then Gabe obviously uses this as an opportunity to put their business out there in front of Stitch, and he talks about Billy, how Billy's there wooing his ex-wife, and while Chelsea, has got to do things on her own, like go to the hospital with her son, and people don't really like Gabe, and they know he's up to something, so it sort of falls on deaf ears. We also see Abby, and she's talking to Billy, and she's kind of working her own angle because she tells him that she can help him get Vicky back, and then Billy turns around and asks her about Stitch, and she sort of plays coy about it, but he knows that she's into Stitch, and she said, no, I can't because Stitch is off limits. Not because it's another person that's together with somebody or it might be hurting my sister. No, he's just off limits, so that's her limit. We also see Gabe run right to Chelsea. I mean, it's so predictable. We know Adam's like a homing beacon to Chelsea, and we know what he's going to do. He tells about the fight, and he plays the poor wounded guy, and then he ends up baiting Chelsea, just with all the Billy bashing, and eventually he tells her that he started it, so she doesn't really feel sorry for him, and we just know he's up to something. Eventually we see Stitch, and he thinks that Gabe is right about Vicky and Billy, because he's talking to Vicky, and he can see something's up there, and he wants to know if she still wants him around. And he asks if they're fine, and she says no, but no as in we can work on it. And but Stitch does tell us what he thinks about Sharon. He thinks, just like Dylan does, that she's not the killer and that Abby's still in danger. So Stitch and Abby go to Sharon's arraignment, but not for the same reasons. Obviously, he doesn't think she's guilty, but Abby's obviously there to, pop some popcorn and watch this show. She hates Sharon. She thinks Sharon's the one that knocked her over the head, and she wants to see her get it. So the first thing we see is them at the courthouse, and what do? They mix it up. Yeah, Abby can really be a thorn in Sharon's side when she wants to, and so it goes as expected. But we see Sharon, and she's in court, and at the arraignment, she pleads not guilty, but the judge wants to know, where is your lawyer? And she stalls, and eventually, the ADA jumps in and says she's a flight risk, yada yada, you know how this is gonna go, and the judge revokes her bail. And the judge denies her bail. But at the last minute, Michael walks in with Dylan, and they save the day. And then Michael says, based on the fact that she suffers from a mental illness, that it is sort of compassionate if she be placed under house arrest. So what do? They put her under house arrest, and who do you think she's going to stay with? Well, the guy that doesn't want to stay at home, it's Michael. He doesn't want to go away with Lauren. He doesn't even want to be in the same house with her. So he volunteers to move into Sharon's house. And you can figure out how this went when Michael tells Lauren. It doesn't go over really well. She's not too happy because she's already told Kane he's pulling away from me, and he proves it. So this cinches it for Stitch. He knows that the killer's still out there, the same way that Dylan does. And he tells Abby there's no way he's letting her out of his sight, which delights Abby, as you can tell. I mean, she's not doing a dance, but you can tell by the look on her face, she's happy to be spending more time with Stitch. We also see Chelsea, and after all this seeds of doubt being planted in her head, she goes looking for Billy. She goes to the AC to look for him, and she shows up, and this is the part I can't get. I mean, Billy and Vicky were talking, but by the time Chelsea shows up, they are now locked in a deep kiss. And I mean, they're all over each other, and Chelsea sees this, and what does she do? Come on, you know what's next. I mean, I don't know what to say about the writers, because, you know, for the longest time they dragged this on forever, and then I figured they thought in 2 minutes they'd just wrap it up, because they wrapped it up pretty good. Because what does Chelsea do? She goes running straight back to Gabe, and she doesn't even, you know, check his temperature. She just says, "Kiss me," and they end up kissing, and they end up making love. So we know that the things are going to get hot in the next episode. I mean, even the teasers for this look like there's sparks all over the place. So I want to thank you all for checking it out. It's Paul, it's YNR Update. Wow, what an incredible episode. So please keep watching, and thanks for all the support. Thanks for all the support on Twitter. We love it. And keep following us on Facebook page and on Pinterest. Have a great day.